So good day everyone. Welcome to our video recorded discussion of module number 14 in the subject PS1, the child and adolescent learners and learning principles. So class, for our module number 14, it also covers our chapter 14, which entitles Theories of Moral Development. So before we proceed in different theories regarding moral development, let us define first what is moral development. So when we say moral development, it refers to the process through which children develop the standards of right and wrong within their society based on social and cultural norms and laws. So when we say moral development class, it is the process through which children develop proper attitudes and behavior. So toward other people in their society or in their surroundings or in their parents. Huwag na tayong lumayo. So, moral development also pertains on the proper attitudes and behaviors of the children. So their proper attitudes and behaviors are based on their cultural norms, rules, and then laws that they are abiding. So another description for moral development is a concern for every parent. So teaching a child to distinguish right from wrong and to behave accordingly is the goal of parenting. So moral development class, it is important that at the very early age of the children is nade-develop na ng maganda yung moral nila or yung morality aspect nila in their life. Kasi kapag hindi sila naturuan ng between tama at sa mga mali na ginagawa nila, nagkakaroon ng malaking epekto yun sa moral development nila habang sila ay lumalaki. So, yung parenting dito sa moral development is very important na maturuan yung mga bata ng mga parents nila kung ano yung pagkakaiba ng tama at mali. So, for the moral development class, it is very important na for the young children to be fully developed yung moral aspects nila in life. Para pagdating nila ng pagtanda nila, ganon, or they meet their adulthood, is yung morality nila is hindi ganoon, anong tawag nito, parang hindi na late bloom. Kasi at the very early age pa lang, ay naituro na ng mga parents nila kung ano yung pagkakaiba ng tamang gawain at maling gawain. At kung ano yung mga punishments na pwedeng ibigay kapag when they are doing wrong, at kung ano naman yung magiging reward nila if they are doing right. So for the theories of moral development, let's go first for Jean Piaget's theory of moral development. So, Piaget conceptualized moral development as a constructivist process, whereby the interplay of action and thought builds moral concepts. So, Piaget was principally interested not in what children do, but in what they think. In other words, he was interested in children's moral reasoning. Di ba nga class, Jean Piaget is kilala for the theory of cognitive development ng mga children. Although meron din siyang theories about moral, but nakafocus kasi siya sa kung papaano iniisip ng mga bata yung magiging consequences nila if they break the rules regarding their moral development. So, doon siya nakafocus class, doon sa moral reasoning ng mga bata. So, Piaget was interested in three main aspects of children's understandings of moral issues. So, they were as follows, class. Ang first natin dyan na main aspect is children's understanding of rules. So, this leads to the questions like, where do rules came from? Can rules be changed? Or who makes the rules? So in the first aspect class, dito sa children's understanding of rules, example dito is in a situation where a mother and a father is nag-impose ng rules nila sa bahay. So ang iisipin ng bata, saan nanggaling yung mga rules na yon? Bakit kailangang sundin yung mga rules na yon? And tatanungin din nila kung pwede bang mabago yung rules na yun in case ayaw nila doon sa rules. For example, lahat ng magkakapatid ay mayroong sari-sariling household chores. Pero yung isang kapatid mo is ayaw niya yung napuntang gawain sa kanya. Pwede ba kayang palitan yung household chores na napunta sa kanya or hindi na? And then another question is, who makes the rules? Sino ang gumawa ng rules na susundin nila? So dito class, sa children's understanding of rules, it is very important na kapag nag-impose ng parents, sabi ng mga rules, yung parents natin or yung parents ng mga bata, ay nai-explain din ng mabuti kung ano yung mga rules na yun at para saan yung mga rules na yun. Kung ano yung magiging consequences nila, kung hindi nila gagawin yung rules na yun, at kung pwede bang baguhin yung rules na yun kung sakaling hindi ito tugma or hindi ito magandang gawin nung mga anak nila. So, dito sa pinakaunang aspect class, it is very important na naiintindihan ng mga bata yung sinet nating rules or yung sinet na rules ng parents nila. Ganon din class sa setting ng classroom, di ba? Sa unang klase pa lang, nagsiset na tayo ng rules kung ano yung mga dapat gawin sa loob ng classroom at kung ano yung mga guidelines sa loob ng classroom, kung ano yung mga dapat nilang sundin. So, syempre, hindi lang natin sinasabi yun na ito yung rules na dapat hindi gawin at gagawin ninyo. Kundi ipaintindi natin sa kanila bakit kailangan nilang sundin ang mga rules na iyon. Para pagdating ng araw, yung moral reasoning nila doon is naiintindihan nila kung bakit dapat sumunod sila sa mga rules. Kasi ang rules, nauunang nai-impose yan sa bahay. Pagpapasok na sila sa school, meron din silang rules na sinusunod. So, habang papalaki sila ng papalaki, nagkakaroon sila ng idea na meron silang rules na dapat sundin. So, dapat sa bahay pa lang, kapag nag-implement na ng rules ang parents, ay naipapaliwanag na ng mabuti sa mga anak. Para pagdating nila sa school, kapag may rules si teacher na sinabi, alam nila kung para saan yung rules na yun. So, it is very important to understand yung mga rules na na-impose or i-impose natin, maiintindihan dapat iyon ng mga bata. So, that is the first aspect according to Jean Piaget. Next aspect, number 2, is children's understanding of moral responsibility. So, this leads to questions like, who is to blame for bad things? Or is it the outcome of behavior that makes an action bad? So in second aspect class, children's understanding of moral responsibility, yung mga bata, kung alam na nila kung para saan yung mga rules na dapat nilang sundin, dapat alam din nila kung ano yung mga responsibility nila doon sa pagsunod ng rules or doon sa kung nasuway man nila yung mga rules. So, if ever nag-set si parent ng rules sa bahay, nasabihin na natin may curfew, ganyan, may curfew sa loob ng bahay nila, dapat alas 6 in punto, nakauwi na sila ng hapon. So, 6 p.m. dapat lahat ng siblings, lahat ng anak nila ay nandoon na sa loob ng bahay. So, papaano kung merong hindi nakauwi ng eksaktong alas 6? So, ano yung magiging punishment niya? Dapat, kapag nag-impose na sila ng rules, masasabi na ni parents kung ano yung possible na consequences nun. Para yung sense of responsibility nila is ma-build within their self. Na dapat alam nila na kapag sinunod nila yung rules, may kakaroon sila ng positive outlook doon, pero kapag hindi nila nasunod, magkakaroon sila ng parang kasalanan. Parang yung magiging parusa nila once na hindi nila sinunod yung mga rules na yon. So, sino ang sisisihin for the bad things na nagawa nung bata or yung hindi niya pagsunod sa mga rules ng parents? So, magkakaroon ng kalituhan doon in case na hindi ma-explain ng parents ng mabuti kung ano yung mga magiging consequences or punishment nila once na nag-impose sila ng rules. So, is there a difference between accidental and deliberate wrongdoing? So, yun ang pinaka-importante dito, class. Dapat si parent, alam niyang i-explain kung sakaling accidental lang na hindi nasunod nung anak niya yung rules na inimpose niya. Sabihin na natin, hindi siya nakauwi ng 6:00 ng eksakto ng hapon kasi walang masakyan. O di kaya naipit sa traffic. So, yung mga ganun, accidental yun kasi hindi naman kasalanan ng bata kung wala siyang masakyan agad at kung maiipit siya sa traffic. So, dapat, ang tawag na nito, ma-distinguish ni parents kung yung hindi pagsunod sa rules or yung ang tawag na nito, yung hindi pagsunod sa rules nang hindi sinasadya ay walang kaakibat na punishments, kung hindi, pagsasabihan lang na next time mas maagang lumabas sa school o di kaya mag-text or tumawag. Diba? Kasi kung teenager na yung mga anak nila, may mga cellphone na yan, so mag-text sila kung nasaan sila. Sasabihin nilang, Mami, hindi ako makakauwi ng eksaktong 6:00 kasi wala pa po akong masakyan, nag-aantay pa lang ako. So that is accidental doing ng hindi pagsunod or hindi pagsunod sa mga rules ng parents. So, next is yung deliberate wrongdoing naman kapag sinasadya na nung mga anak nila na hindi nasundin yung inimpose ng rules ng parents. So, ano yung magiging punishment nila kapag ganun ang ginagawa nila? Kasi iba yung hindi sinasadyang hindi sundin yung rules doon sa sinasadyang hindi sundin. Ibig sabihin, ayaw talaga nilang gawin, ayaw talaga nilang sumunod sa mga rules ng parents nila. So, dapat ipaintindi nila doon sa mga bata kung ano yung mga possible consequences nila doon. Kasi kapag alam nila yung consequences doon sa rules na inimpose ng parents, yung sense of responsibility nila is mabibuild dyan. Kasi syempre, kung alam na nila yung punishment nila, ang tendency niyan is hindi nila, ang tawag na nito, hindi nila babaliin yung rules, kundi susundin nila yung rules. Kasi alam nila na kapag binali nila yung rules, hindi maganda yung magiging impact nito sa kanila, or the tendency is magagalit yung parents nila sa kanila. Next, number 3 is children's understanding of justice. So, this leads to the questions like, should the punishment fit the crime? Or are the guilty always punished? So, in children's understanding of justice class, ito naman yung pagkakaroon ng balance between sa pagsunod sa rules ng mga parents at doon sa hindi pagsunod. So, yung punishment ba palaging fit to crime? Parang palagi ba silang mabibigyan ng punishment kung hindi nila ginagawa or hindi nila sinusunod yung mga rules? Parang palagi bang for example na lang, kapag hindi nila sa mga bata pag hindi nila sinunod yung mga gusto ng parents, palagi na lang ba silang papaluin? Yun na lang ba yung option ng magiging parusa nila kung sakaling hindi sila sumunod? Parang paulit-ulit na lang ba silang papaluin para in order for the child na grow at sundin yung mga rules ng parents nila? So, meron bang ibang parusa kung sakali na hindi sila sumunod sa mga rules? So, dapat si parents na nagbibigay ng rules sa mga anak niya is nasasabi niya ng mabuti yung mga hindi lang mabuti kundi nadidetermine, na-identify, na distinguish lahat ng possible punishment na pwede niyang ibigay. Parang sa school din lang, meron yung first offense, second offense, third offense, meron yung grave offense, yung pinakagrabe na. So, parang may level din dapat of punishment dito sa my children's understanding of justice. Kasi sabihin na natin, una ay doon sa unang pagkakataon na hindi siya sumunod sa rules ng parents, ano ang mangyayari? Papaano kung naulit-ulit? Ano yung mga possible na punishment ng parents? So, are the guilty always punished? So, doon sa mga part na ito ng bata, kung sakaling hindi sila sumunod, guilty ba sila? Kapag guilty na ba, ibig sabihin, mapaparusahan na or pampapagalitan na ng parents nila. So, dapat dito, nagkakaroon ng, ang tawag na nito, information dissemination si parents, na kung saan, yun nga, sabi ko kanina, doon sa moral responsibility, na di-distinguish kung accidental lang ba yung wrongdoing niya or sinasadya niyang hindi sundin. So, kahit na guilty yung bata, na yes, ang sabihin na natin, dapat hindi na kumain ng sweets kasi ayaw ni parents na masira yung teeth ng anak niya. Pero nagkataon na yung bata is nag-crave ng sweets. Let's say for example, talagang gusto niyang kumain ng sweets kasi ang tagal na din niyang kumain. I mean, hindi kumain ng mga matatamis. So, yes, guilty yung bata na kumain siya ng matatamis, pero punishable ba yun? Kasi parang sa tagal niyang hindi kumain ng matamis na bagay, parang nag-crave din siya na ay kahit minsan lang na sana pwede akong kumain ng matamis. So, mapapunish ba siya kung sakali? Dahil hindi niya sinunod yung rules nila na dapat hindi kumain ng sweets dahil gusto ni parents na maganda yung ngipin ng kanilang mga anak. Kasi ang parents pala nila is dentist. So, anong mangyayari? Ano ang possible punishments nila kapag ganun? Although they are guilty na ginawa nila yung wrongdoings na yun, pero yun nga class, meron naman siyang valid reason kung bakit niya ito ginawa. So, si parents ngayon, sasabihin na niya kung ano man yung assessment niya doon sa mga pangyayari regarding sa pagsunod at hindi ng mga anak niya. Dapat ine-explain ng mabuti doon sa mga bata. Kasi pag hindi ine-explain yung mga rules natin, pag hindi nila naiintindihan kung bakit sila napaparusahan or napapalo, nagkakaroon kasi sila ng trauma minsan. So, mas maganda kung pinapagalitan natin yung mga bata or yung mga bata na anak natin or yung mga bata na tinuturuan natin, dapat alam nila kung bakit sila pinapagalitan. Para magkaroon sila ng sense of, ang tawag na nito, hindi lang sense of responsibility, kundi yung sense of knowing na din na dapat ang mga rules na na-impose ay sinusunod. So, Piaget found that children's ideas regarding rules, moral judgment, and punishment tended to change as they got older. So, yun nga sabi ko sa inyo kanina. Kapag bata pa lang is marunong nang sumunod sa rules yung mga bata. As they get older, masasanay na sila sa mga rules na meron sa society na dapat nilang sundin. So, in other words, just as there were stages to children's cognitive development, so there were also universal stages to their moral development. So, yung 2 stages class ay nasa next slide. So, ito. So, aside from the 3 main aspects, according to Jean Piaget, for the moral development, there are 2 types of moral thinking then. So, una is yung Heteronomous morality or the moral realism. So, the stage of heteronomous morality is also known as moral realism. So this is between 5 to 9 years old. So morality imposed from outside. Children regard morality as obeying with people's rules and laws which cannot be changed. So they accept that all the rules are made by some authority figure, such as their parents, teacher, or God, and that breaking the rules will lead to immediate and severe punishment. So in the first types of moral thinking class, yung heteronomous morality, this is, morality is imposed from the outside. So, ibig sabihin, may rules na nakaset na ibinigay ni parents, may rules sa kanilang school, at meron din silang rules na sinusunod for their religion. And when the time comes na hindi nila sinunod ang mga rules na to, immediate punishment will give to them. Kasi yun na yung kinalakihan nila. Sa bahay pa lang, nagkakaroon na sila ng rules which kapag ka hindi nila sinunod ay mayroong punishment. So kapag ka lalabas sila, tapos may rules ulit sa school na lang, is alam na nila na kapag ka hindi sinunod yun, magkakaroon ulit sila ng punishment. Ganon din in their religion. So there are rules then in the religion where they belong, which is kapag ka nagkaroon ng, or pag binali na nila yung mga rules na yun, mayroon ding immediate punishment regarding their religion. So, during this stage, children consider rules as being absolute and unchanging, or the divine like. They think that rules cannot be changed and have always been the same as they are now. So, yun na class, during this stage, if the children tends to follow a rule from their house up to the outside in whatever rules na pwede nilang na sinusunod nila kung nasa labas na sila ng bahay nila, ang tendency doon class is nagiging absolute na ito. Ibig sabihin, yung mga rules na sinusunod nila is unchanging. Parang hanggang sa tumanda sila, dapat ang naka-incline sa isip nila is dapat nila itong sundin. Kasi absolute na yung rules, ibig sabihin hindi na nila ito mababago. Okay, so for the next one class is yung autonomous morality or the moral relativism. Tama ba? Yes, relativism. So, in this stage class, it is about 9 to 10 years old. So, the stage of autonomous morality is also known as the moral relativism. So, morality based on your own rules. Children recognize there is no absolute right or wrong, and that morality depends on the intentions, not consequences. So Piaget believed that around the age of 9 to 10, children's understanding of moral issues underwent a fundamental reorganization. So by now, they are beginning to overcome the egocentrism of middle childhood and have developed the ability to see moral rules from other people's point of view. So a child who can decentrate to take other people's intention and circumstances into account can move to making the more independent moral judgment as the second stage. So as a result, children's ideas on the nature of rules themselves, on moral responsibility, on punishment and justice all change, and their thinking becomes more like that of adults. So in the autonomous morality class, unlike in the first type of moral thinking, which is absolute na yun, parang naitatak na sa isip ng mga bata kasi between 5 to 9 years old yun. So, ibig sabihin, yung rules na sinusunod nila, feeling nila, rules, yun talaga yung dapat nilang sundin at hindi pwedeng baguhin. Pero dito naman sa autonomous morality, which fall to 9 to 10 years old, nagkakaroon na sila dito ng understanding na kung susundin nila yung rules or hindi. Parang they think as an adult na kasi. So, if they want to follow the rule, they will follow. Kung hindi nila gusto, hindi nila susundin yung rules. So children now understand that rules do not come from some mystical divine light. So naiintindihan na nila dito na ang mga rules is not all the rules are created to be followed. Kung hindi, nadidevelop na rin dito yung pag-iisip nila na yung rules na gusto nilang sundin, isusundin nila, at may mga rules na ayaw nilang sundin kasi parang hindi ito tama. So, yun yung mga thinking na nadidevelop po dito. So, people make rules and people can change them. So, unlike in the first type of moral thinking na akala nila hindi na ito pwedeng baguhin, dito sa pangalawa class, they think na they can change the rules na meron man sila if they see wrong with that rule. Let's say, for example, hindi na dapat ginawa yung rules na yun kasi madaming, ang tawag na nito, parang simple lang naman yung rules. Parang lahat na ng tao ay alam na yung rules na yun. So, i-elicit na yung rules na yun. Or di kaya may mga rules naman na parang hindi kapanipaniwala. So, nagkakaroon sila ng time to change yung rules na mga yun. So, they are not inscribed on tablets of stone with regard to the rules of the game. Older children recognize that rules are needed to prevent quarreling and to ensure fair play. So, like when we are playing games, di ba? We set rules before we start the game. Pero, upon doing the game, kung nasa kalagitnaan na, tapos nakita natin yung rules na sinet natin is hindi maganda, we can directly change it. Kasi, malalaman natin dun kung yung rules natin is hindi nagiging fair. Ang pinapaboran lang pala is dun sa kalaban natin. So, tayo, nakasama doon sa game, we can change the rules. Kasi alam natin na not all the players are benefiting from it. Parang isang player lang ang nagbe-benefit tapos all are suffering. So, we can change the rules dito sa autonomous morality. Nagkakaroon ng idea yung mga children na they can change the rules if they think that the rules is not good for them. Okay, class, so for the next theory of moral development, it is the theory of Kohlberg, theory of moral development and education. So Lawrence Kohlberg, class, is the real or the full name of Kohlberg. Lawrence Kohlberg was such an interesting, if not intriguing person. He was born wealthy but chose to be sailor and began to be interested in moral reasoning. So that's why, class, he developed these 6 stages of moral development kasi upon sailing, nagkaroon siya na-develop sa kanya yung pagkakaroon ng interest sa moral development ng isang tao. So, Kohlberg's theory of moral development is a theory that focuses on how children develop their morality and moral reasoning. So, Kohlberg's theory suggests that moral development occurs in a series of 6 stages. So, the theory also suggests that moral logic is primarily focused on seeking and maintaining justice. So, how do Kohlberg develop his theory? So, Kohlberg based his theory on a series of moral dilemmas or problems presented to his study subjects. So, participants were also interviewed to determine the reasoning behind their judgment in each scenario. So, there are 6 stages nga, class, of moral development, as I have mentioned a while ago. So, Kohlberg's theory is broken down into 3 primary levels. Although 6 stages siya, class, pero nahati kasi siya into 3 primary level, which is level 1, level 2, and level 3. And at each level of moral development, there are 2 stages. So, similar to how Piaget believed that not all people reach the highest levels of cognitive development, Kohlberg believed not everyone progress to the highest stages of moral development. So this is the first level class, level 1, pre-conventional morality. So pre-conventional morality is the earliest period of moral development. It lasts until around the age of 9. At this age, children's decisions are primarily shaped by the expectations of adults and the consequences for breaking the rules. There are two stages within this level class. So stage 1 is and before we proceed pala sa stage 1. So in level 1 class, which is the pre-conventional level, ang moral reasoning dito is based on the consequence or result of the act. So, the moral development of the children in this stage class ay nakadepende sa consequence or sa result ng pagsunod nila sa rules. So, not on the whether the act itself, if it is good or bad. So, if they follow the rules or not class, it is not the important factor here in the level 1. Kundi ang pinagtutuunan ng pansin dito class is yung mga consequences or the result kung sinunod nila or hindi yung mga rules. So, we have stage 1, the obedience and punishment. So, the earliest stages of moral development, obedience and punishment are especially common in young children. But adults are also capable of expressing this type of reasoning. So, according to Kohlberg, people at this stage see rules as fixed and absolute. Obeying the rules is important because it is a way to avoid punishment. So, in the stage 1 class, one is motivated by fear of punishment. So, ibig sabihin, he will act in order to avoid punishment. So, yung bata, dahil ayaw niyang magkaroon ng punishment, ayaw niyang mapagalitan ng parents, or kung sino man ang nag-set ng rules na dapat niyang sundin, sinusunod niya yung rules na yon. Na nagkakaroon siya ng idea na hindi niya pwedeng baguhin or baliin yung rules na yon kasi takot siyang magkaroon ng punishment. So, ang tendency dito is yung obedience is nade-develop sa kanya. Yung lahat ng rules na nakaset sa bahay nila, sa school, or outside their houses ay sinusunod niya kasi nga to avoid punishment. Yung fear of punishment is nade-develop din dito. Hindi lang yung aspect which is the child is being obedient kasi nga sinusunod niya lahat ng rules. Pero yung fear of punishment is nade-develop din dito. Kasi without knowing na kung ayaw niya doon sa rules is pwede niyang sundin, hindi pa niya naiisip yung mga ganong bagay sa stage na to. Kundi ang naiisip niya yung possible punishment na makukuha niya kung hindi niya sinusunod yung mga rules. Kaya ang tendency, lahat ng rules na na-impose ng parents niya ay sinusunod niya to avoid having punishment. So, stage number 2 is more individualism and exchange, or this is what we call din in other books na mutual benefit. So, at the individualism and exchange stage of moral development, children account for individual points of view and judge actions based on how they serve individual needs. So, reciprocity is possible at this point in moral development, but only if it serves one's own interest. So, in stage 2 class, one is motivated to act by the benefit that one may obtain later. So, parang you scratch my back and then I'll scratch yours too. Parang ano nga class, mutual benefit. Kung alam mong magbe-benefit yung iba sa gagawin mong act or doon sa pagsunod mo ng rules, sinusunod mo yung rules. Tapos, ganun din sila sa'yo. Parang vice versa. Dahil ginawan mo sila ng parang magandang bagay, ang tendency is good deeds din yung babalik sa'yo. Parang, for example, si parents, nag-set siya ng rules na nagkakaroon ay na rules sa bahay nila. Tapos, yung mga bata, yung mga anak niya, sinusunod yung rules na yon. And in exchange din naman kay mommy, binibigyan niya sila ng mga rewards dahil sa pagsunod nila sa mga rules na yon. So parang both parties ay nagkakaroon ng positive reinforcement doon. Kasi when the children obey the rules of the parents, si parents nagkakaroon din siya ng positive na impact in herself or in his or herself. Kasi parang naiisip ng parents doon na mabubuti yung anak niya at sumusunod sila sa mga rules na ginawa niya. Parang ano lang yan, class, give and take din. Kung sumunod yung mga anak nila sa rules, ang tendency is nabibigyan sila ng reward. Pero kapag hindi nila sinusunod, ang worst part is nagkakaroon sila ng punishment. Pero yun nga, class, namomotivate yung mga bata din kasi minsan na sundin yung rules kung alam nilang magbe-benefit din sila doon sa pagsunod ng rules. Parang mayroon ding positive reinforcement na nakukuha sila pag sinusunod nila yung rules. Let's say, for example, sa mga kindergarten na mga bata. Di ba kapag sinabi natin, you write this letter. So, kapag nakuha ninyo ng maganda yung letter A, na isulat ng maayos yung mother A and then yung baby A, we will give you 5 stars. So, in order for the child na magkaroon ng 5 stars, dapat maayos niyang maisulat yung letter A. So, doon naman sa part ng teacher, at least meron siyang assurance na natuto yung mga bata na magsulat ng maayos ng letter A. So, that is for the level 1 class, pre-conventional morality level with 2 stages. Okay, so next class is level 2 conventional morality. So the next period of moral development is marked by the acceptance of social rules regarding what is good and moral. During this time, adolescents and adults internalize the moral standards they have learned from their role models and from society. So this period also focuses on the acceptance of authority and conforming to the norms of the group. There were 2 stages at this level class of morality. So like in level 1, meron din itong sub-stages, 2 sub-stages. So when we say conventional morality class, moral reasoning is based on the conventions or norms of society. So parang they act according in their society or according in their culture na pinapaniwalaan nila. So, this may include approval of others, law, and order. So, yun nga po class, if the society has set the rules, sinusunod nila yon. Kasi syempre, kasama sa kultura nila na sundin yung mga rules that their cultures set or yung mga norms na tinatawag po natin. So, we have, rin dito, kung doon sa pre-conventional class, ang nadidevelop doon is yung moral development ng isang bata dahil sa consequences or sa result ng pagsunod niya or hindi doon sa rules. Dito naman sa conventional class, parang sinusunod natin yung rules dito dahil kailangan ng society or ang tawag na nito, part na siya ng buhay natin sa kultura na kinabibilangan natin. So, parang mas higher set ng rules na kailangan nating sundin. Kasi, sinusunod ng parents natin, sinusunod ng mga kamag-anakan natin. So, dapat sundin din natin. So, this is what conventional level pertains to. So, the first stage here, stage 3, is developing good interpersonal relationship. So, this is refers to rin as social approval sa ibang book. Pero, it is the same. So, developing good interpersonal relationship often referred to as good boy, good girl. Orientation, this stage for the interpersonal relationship of moral development, is focused on living up to social expectations and rules. There is an emphasis on conformity, being nice, and consideration of how choices influence relationship. So in stage 3 class, one is motivated by what others expect in behavior. Parang good boy, good girl. So the person acts because he or she values how he or she will appear to others. So parang sinusunod niya yung rules kasi gusto niyang ang tingin ng tao sa kanya maganda. He or she is obeying the rules. So magkakaroon siya ng positive outlook sa ibang tao. Sasabihin nila, ay masunurin siya. Kasi sinusunod niya lahat ng rules. So, kung yun ang gusto niyang maging kalalabasan ng, kung papaano niya gustong tignan siya ng ibang tao, ganun ang ginagawa niya. So, he or she gives importance on what people will think or say. Parang dito sa stage na to class, importante yung sasabihin ng ibang tao. Importante yung sasabihin or yung magiging reaksyon ng mga tao sa paligid mo kung sinusunod mo yung rules or hindi. So parang it is not important if the rules is good or bad. Basta ang importante dito is yung magiging reaksyon ng mga tao na nakakakita sa'yo na sinusunod mo yung rules. Parang you are not thinking anymore if the rules suits you well, kung yung rules ba na yun is applicable for you or not. Ang importante kasi dito is maging maganda yung tingin ng ibang tao sa'yo dahil sinusunod mo yung mga rules or yung mga societal rules na meron po tayo. Parang yun nga kasi yung sinabi ko sa inyo, sinusunod kasi ito ng parents natin, ito na yung nakalakihan nilang rules, kaya ginagawa mo rin. So, para magkaroon ng, para maging maganda yung tingin ng parents mo sa'yo, is kung ano yung pinapaniwalaan nilang mga rules or kung ano yung mga sinusunod nilang rules, sinusunod mo na din. In order for you to get their positive response din dahil sa pagsunod mo doon sa sinusunod nilang mga rules. So, next class is yung stage number 4, maintaining social order. So, this stage is focused on ensuring that social order is maintained. At this stage of moral development, people begin to consider society as a whole when making judgments. The focus is on maintaining law and order by following the rules, doing one's duty, and respecting authority. So, in maintaining social order class, it is also called the law and order. So, one is motivated to act in order to uphold law and order. So, the person will follow the law because it is the law. So, dito naman sa stage 4 class, maintaining social order, it is simply following the law. Kasi, yun yung mga batas na nakaset. Parang ano na lang yan class, government, ang tawag na natin, batas ng mga gobyerno. So, we as a part of this government, we are following the law. Kasi, yun nga yung nakasaad sa batas. So, kapag sinabi nilang magkaroon ng ganitong ordinansa, sinusunod natin yung ordinansang iyon. Kasi, we believe dito na namomotivate tayo na gawin or sundin yung order na yon. Kasi, law is law. Parang hindi pwedeng baliin yung law na yon. Kasi, government law na siya or societal law. So, pero dito sa atin kasi clans, although we are democratic country, we can justify ourselves kung susundin natin yung batas or hindi. Pero as a good citizen, as a part of this government, if you know that there are ordinance, rules, and regulations na na-impose ng government or batas talaga siya, we should follow. Kasi we are part of this government. So parang kung hindi natin sinusunod yung mga rules na yun, parang hindi ka kasama sa bansang ito. Parang ganun yung magiging thinking natin pagdating dito sa stage number 4. Which is nangyayari sa mga ibang bansa, sa mga authoritarian na country, o di kanya'y I forgot kasi yung mga yung democratic country, ganyan, yung ibang nakalimutan ko na class, pasensya na. Pero may mga ganun kasi na country class na kung ano yung sinabi ng president nila, yun ang masusunod. Ayaw mo man o hindi. Kasi, batas yun eh. So, dapat sundin mo kasi doon ka nakatira at kasama ka sa bansang iyon. And yung citizenship mo is parehas din ng citizenship ng president na yun. So, ang mangyayari, susundin mo yung rule na yun kahit na ayaw mo. So, para magkaroon ng social order, para ma-maintain yung social order. Kaya nga tayo nagkakaroon ng voting for president or sa mga matataas na pwesto sa gobyerno kasi sila yung gumagawa ng mga rules and regulation. Pero, ang nangyayari niyan kasi class, if we tend to have a bad na thoughts doon sa bills or doon sa laws na pinapasa nila, nagkakaroon ng dyan, parang revision or tawag na nito, revisions and reinstatement, parang mga ganun. Di ba nagkakaroon, yung mga tao kasi, lalo na sa democratic countries like we are, nagrarally sila kung nakakakita sila ng hindi magandang aspect doon sa batas na ipinapatupad nila. Pero yun nga class, if we need, if we want to maintain our social order, kung ano yung mga batas doon sa bansang iyon, kung ano yung mga laws, we should abide, we should follow. If you cannot follow all the rules, so dapat majority ng rules ay pina-follow po natin kasi we belong in their government. Like what in other countries are doing. So, ganun din po tayong mga Filipino. Although marami tayong reklamo, marami tayong side issues regarding sa mga regulations ng government natin, at the end of the day is sinusunod pa rin naman natin. Parang you see yourself as sumusunod sa mga rules pa rin kasi kailangan. Parang yung simpleng na lang, pag wear ng face shield and then face mask, pag pumapasok ka sa mga malls, di ba? Ayaw mong gawin kasi nasusuffocate ka, may asthma ka, so mas baka mahirapan kang huminga, pero dahil sa kagustuhan mong pumasok ng mall, ginagawa mo, nagsusuot ka ng face shield at face mask. So, ibig sabihin, you are following the rules and the regulation of the government. So, yun class, marami lang tayong reklamo minsan. Pero at the end of the day, we see ourselves na sinusunod yung mga rules and regulation ng government. So, parang rin class, nagiging good citizens din tayo kapag nami-maintain din natin yung social order if we follow the government law. So, next class is for the last level of moral development, according to Lawrence Kohlberg, is post-conventional morality or level. So, at this level class of moral development, people develop an understanding of abstract principles of morality. The two stages at this level are stage 5 and stage 6. So, in post-conventional level class, moral reasoning is based on enduring or consistent principles. It is not just recognizing the law, but the principles behind the law. So, in this level class, ito na yung pinakamataas na level ng moral development natin. Parang, we are considering the principles behind the laws na mga sinusunod natin. Parang alam na natin kung bakit ginawa yung mga rules na dapat nating sundin. So, yun yung ini-impose ni post-conventional morality. So, at stage 5, social contract and individual rights. So, the ideas of social contract and individual rights cause people in the next stage to begin to account for the differing values, opinions, and beliefs of other people. So rules of law are important for maintaining a society, but members of the society should agree upon these standards. So in social contract and individual rights class, laws that are wrong can be changed. Dito po sa stage 5 class. And one will act based on social justice in the common good. So sa social contract po and individual rights class, anyone or everyone can see or can say that laws are can be changed. Parang yun nga, yung sa example ko kanina, if we see wrong from that rules and regulation, we tend to change it kasi may mali tayong nakikita doon. Okay, class. So, as I am saying po kanina, in social contract po, if we see wrong in the rules that we are abiding for, we can change it. So, we can act based on the social justice and common good. Parang iniisip kasi natin yung the majority. If you think that majority of the people is not abiding the laws or hindi sinusunod yung laws, maybe there is something wrong with the laws na na-implement. O di kaya hindi ito useful for the members of the community. So, the tendency is we can change it. Kasi, nagkakaroon tayo dito ng class na, ang tawag na noon, parang nagkakaroon na tayo ng rights if we don't want the rules na na-impose o di kaya gusto natin. Kaya nga siya tinawag na social contract kasi if yung taong nag-set ng rules, nakikita niyang hindi acceptable yon sa isang society, nagkakaroon ng change doon sa rules na yon. Kasi makikita naman niya kung sinusunod ng mga tao yon or hindi. So, kung sinusunod nila, ibig sabihin, maganda yung principles ng rules na yon. Maganda yung, ang tawag na nito, maganda yung dahilan kung bakit ginawa yung rules na yon. Pero kung nakikita niyang hindi ito sinusunod ng mga tao, ibig sabihin, there is something wrong. So, magkakaroon ng revision o di kaya'y totally papalitan yung rules na nakaset po dito sa social contract and individual rights. So, we are changing the rules because of the effect nito of the majority of the people. Parang we are doing it for the common good of all the people na susunod doon sa rules na yun. So, we have the last stage class, which is the universal principles. So, Kohlberg's final level of moral development, moral reasoning is based on universal ethical principles and abstract reasoning. So, at this stage, people follow these internalized principles of justice, even if they conflict with laws and rules. So, in universal principles class, this is associated with the development of one's conscience. So, having a set of standards that drives one to possess moral responsibility to make societal change regardless of consequences to oneself. So, for example of persons are Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King Jr. Para in universal principles class, in this stage kasi, we develop yung one's conscience natin. Parang, one is setting the standard that drives one to possess moral responsibility. Parang, we are not thinking na if what is the consequences of the rules na na-impose or kailangan nating sundin. Parang yun na class, universal principles na ito, universal law na ito. So, ibig sabihin, we can follow this if we internalize yung principle na kasama nung rules na yon. For example, we have universal law din. We have, anong tawag na nun? We have a world law na kailangan sundin ng iba't ibang bansa. So, if the president know yung principles ng law na yun, kung bakit kailangang sundin, nagkakaroon tayo ng parang universal etiquette na rin doon sa principles na yon or doon sa laws na yon. Kung nagka-conflict man ito, if they encountered conflict with the rules and laws, they can set yung mga possible solutions doon sa problems regarding the laws. Para magkaroon din tayo dito class ng parang ang tawag na nito, yung kanina parang law and order. So if we follow the law, we can gain order in our society or in the country that we are belong. So nakabase na ito class sa ethical principles po natin, si universal principles. If you think that the law is good for you, you are following it. So kung hindi, hindi din siya natin. Kung hindi ito nakakabuti sa'yo, you are not following it. Pero yun nga class, if you found a possible solutions doon sa ayaw nating rules, nagkakaroon din tayo ng remedy doon. So example na lang class is yung hindi pag-follow ng China doon sa territory laws, world law, 'di ba? They are claiming yung ang tawag na West Philippine Sea na sa kanila daw, pero hindi naman pala kasi according to the territory laws ng buong mundo, it is found in the anong tawag na kasi doon, nakalimutan ko naman, parang vicinity area ng Philippines. So parang it belongs to us. Pero yun nga, they are not following the universal principles or universal law. Pero hindi naman ibig sabihin na hindi nila sinunod yun, sa kanila na yun. Kasi hindi, we are aspiring din na makuha natin yun kasi it is written naman in the law na kabilang siya sa land territory, sea and land territory ng Pilipinas. Yun nga, nagkakaroon ng conversation doon, possible solution for that problem is arise because ethical principles is present na in these universal principles. So parang this is very high rules na kailangang sundin ng mga tao din. Not just people but the leaders of every country. Okay class, so that will be the last stage of moral development according to Lawrence Kohlberg. Okay class, so next theories of moral development is Toriel's domain theory. So Toriel was born in 1938, an American psychologist and a professor. He also published some of the books entitled The Culture of Morality, The Development of Morality, and many other books. So, yung mga libro niya class is covering moral development or morality of a person. Doon nakafocus yung mga books na pinapublish po talaga niya. So, for the theories of moral development, let's go for the theory of so Toriel class based his theory of moral development of psychologist Lawrence Kohlberg framework of moral reasoning. So yung theory ni Toriel class is has a similar with the theory of Lawrence Kohlberg. So Kohlberg stated that moral judgment may be defined as judgments of value, as social judgments, and as judgments that oblige an individual to take action. So in Kohlberg's theory kasi class, there are three types of level, which is the pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. So according to Toriel din naman, there are three types of reasoners. So this is the pre-conventional reasoners, conventional reasoners, and post-conventional reasoners. So ano nga ba yung tatlong types ng reasoners na ito, class. First is the pre-conventional reasoners. So, reasons according to the self-perspective. They ignore the social norms and do not use them in their reasoning process. So in pre-conventional reasoners class, there are some people kasi that they do not follow the rules because they want to. Parang they have their own perspective kung paano nila tignan yung rules na mga dapat nilang sundin. So, they have their own reasons why they are not ignoring or they are not following the said rules. So, ang tawag sa kanila class is pre-conventional reasoners. They have their self-perspective on how they see the rules na nai-implement, if they are going to follow it or not. Next is the conventional reasoners. So, conventional reasoners use social rules and norms to guide their moral reasoning. So, in second types naman class of reasoners is, dito naman class is yung mga tao na sumusunod sa mga social rules and norms dahil kailangan. Parang they are following the rules because they have the reason na kailangan itong sundin. Para magkaroon sila ng ang tawag man ito, para magkaroon sila ng magandang impact sa lipunan, they are following the rules. So, the reason behind it class is because they want to follow the rules because they want to see themselves na maging maganda yung tingin ng iba sa kanila kasi fina-follow nila yung rules. So, parang they have positive reason kung bakit nila susundin yung rules para magkaroon sila ng positive na response to the people. So, next is post-conventional reasoners. So, understand the social rules but do not carefully follow them when making moral decisions. So, they instead use the basic principles behind the social norm to lead their behavior. So, in post-conventional reasoners naman class, these are the people who follow the rules, who understand the social rules, but hindi pina-follow yung rules. They know kung para saan yung rules na yun, kung bakit ginawa yung rules na yun, kung bakit mayroong rules na yun, pero hindi nila sinusunod or yung rules na yun. So parang in making their moral decisions in life, they know kung para kanino yung rules na yun, kung para sa kanila ay dapat nilang gawin. Pero yun nga class, they have the thinking way dito na kung saan they understand what the rules mean, but they are not following them. Parang they are following them but not all the time. Parang there are some aspects kung saan hindi nila ito pina-follow ng tama. Although alam nila kung para saan yung rules na yon. So those are the types of 3 types of reasoners according to Toriel. Okay, so next naman class is yung domain theory. So, there is a key difference between a child's developing concepts of morality and other parts of social knowledge, like social convention. So, there are 3 domains of knowledge according to Toriel. So, first is moral. So, moral is principles of how individuals ought to treat one another. So, when we say moral class, in terms of knowledge class, ang ibig sabihin yan is how we treat each other. How you treat yourself, how you treat your parents, how is your relationship with other people. So that is what we call moral, kung papaano natin tratuhin ang bawat isa. Next, societal. The societal, this is regulations designed to promote the smooth functioning of social groups and institutions. So sa societal naman class, this is how you interact with group of people in the social groups that you belong or sa institution na kasama ka. Sa workplace mo, ganyan, how are you going to deal with them? How are you going to interact with them? How are you going to treat them? So it's under the societal. Your relationship, or how are you going to treat the other people, hindi other people, kasi parang group of people that surrounds you. Parang ano yung relationship mo with them. Paano ka nakikisalamuha sa kanila. Next is the psychological. The understanding of self, others, and beliefs about individuality. So, in psychological naman class, parang this is understanding of oneself. How do you understand yourselves? How do you deal with yourself, your belief, and individuality? Parang all the questions pertaining in yourself is under psychological. Parang how do you see yourself na gusto mong makita ng iba? Dito natin iniisip yon as part of our knowledge in the 3 domains of knowledge. Parang how we see ourselves, how we see others, how we see their beliefs with regards to our beliefs, kung papaano yung parang yung sense of respect is na-develop na rin dito kasi not everyone or not all the people around you have the same perspective as you are. Not everyone has the same beliefs na pinaniniwalaan mo, and not everyone has the same point of view na meron ka. So those are the 3 domains of knowledge. Okay, additional class dito sa domains theory ni Toriel is what is the difference between morality and social convention. So when we say morality, it is about fairness and the minimization of harm to others. This concept is easy for children to understand. So morality class in the concept of a child is about fairness. Parang they are doing it kasi they are the one to benefit from it, and the other people ay magbe-benefit din doon sa ginawa nila. Parang it's about the fairness or equal part on both parties kung susundin nila yung rules. If they follow the rule, yung nag-set ng rule magkakaroon ng parang magandang part doon, and yung nag-follow ng rule magkakaroon din ng positive na impact. Parang win-win situation ang mangyayari. Kasi it is about the fairness. Parang yung example ko nga sa inyo kanina, kung yung parents nag-set ng rules, tapos sinunod ng mga anak nila yung rules na yun, nagkakaroon ng magandang relationship between the parents and then the children. Kasi the tendency is that if the children follow the rules, nare-reward sila ng maganda ni parents. So parang morality in the understanding of children is about fairness. So they follow the rule because they want ang tawag nito, it is imposed and it has a positive reinforcement kapag ka-finalo nila yon. And then para hindi rin sila ang tawag na nito, yung security rin ang nade-develop doon. Kasi if they don't want to harm others, they are following the rules. Parang kung ayaw nilang mapahamak din yung sarili nila at yung ibang tao, they are following the said rules. So this concept class is easy for children to understand. If the parents is explain it well, kung ano yung mga possible consequences if they do not follow the rules. So next is the social convention. So this is made up of concepts like politeness and respect. Because these are abstract, they are more difficult for children to understand. So for example class is, um, a good example of this difference is social convention class. Ang example nito is yung um, pag hindi na-explain ng parents ng maganda yung dahilan kung bakit mayroong rules. Kasi 'di ba, nagkakaroon ng difficulty sa part ng children doon kung sakaling hindi nila alam kung bakit ginawa yung rules na yun. Lalo na pag sa society, kung bakit mayroong ganung rules. Kung lumalabas sila ng bahay nila, tapos pumupunta sila sa isang establishments or sa school, tapos may rules na dapat sundin, kung hindi na-explain ng maayos yun sa kanila, nagkakaroon ng kalituhan kung dapat ba nilang sundin or hindi yung rules na yun. So, parang yung nagkakaroon sila ng abstract thinking, parang nag-form sa mind nila na what are the possible consequences if we did not follow these rules. So, parang kapag ka nag-impose tayo ng rules class, dapat alam din ng mga dapat na sumunod ng rules kung ano yung possible na consequences or rewards na pwede nilang makuha if they follow or did not follow the rules. So, a good example of this difference class is an elevator. So, it is socially acceptable and polite to be quiet in an elevator. Kasi ganun naman talaga. In the social norms, kapag once na pumasok ka sa elevator, it is being polite na dapat tahimik ka sa loob ng elevator. Kasi ganun naman talaga yung mga possible scenario. So, a child sees an elevator and understand because there is no immediate harm or unfairness regarding breaking the social rule. It is okay to yell. So, yun na class. Kung nakakita ang bata ng, for example, sasakay ang mga bata sa elevator. So, they think na hindi sila mapapahamak doon. Mag-yell sila without knowing na hindi dapat ganun ang attitude doon sa loob ng elevator. Although, wala namang nagsasabi na bawal mag-ingay sa loob ng elevator. So, parang they think na it's okay to yell, but it is not polite. Kasi 'di ba, kapag meron tayong kasama na ibang tao sa elevator, tapos ang ingay-ingay natin, nadi-disturb sila, which is hindi naman maganda. So, yun dapat maganda rin sa mga bata na yung mga ganitong bagay is na papaliwanag ng maayos sa kanila. Para the next time na sumakay sila sa elevator is nagiging tahimik sila. Kasi they know that being being quiet in a elevator is being polite with the others na kasabay niyang sumakay ng elevator. Okay, class, so that will be the Toriel's domain theory. So, next class is yung theory naman ni, sinong susunod na dito? Gilligan theory of morality of care. Okay, class, so for the last theory of moral development, it is the theory of Gilligan and the morality of care. So, Gilligan was a student of developmental psychologist Lawrence Kohlberg, who introduced the theory of stages of moral development. So Gilligan, however, felt as though her mentor's theory did not adequately address the gender differences of moral development due to the fact that participants in Kohlberg's study were predominantly male, and because his theory did not include the caring perspective. So si Gilligan class ay student po ni Lawrence Kohlberg. So although he believes in the theory of Kohlberg, which is the stages of moral development, in her theory, in Gilligan's theory, ang na-emphasize dito is the gender differences regarding moral development na hindi presented doon sa 6 stages ni Lawrence Kohlberg. Although sinabi rin niya dito na predominantly kasi ang respondents ni Kohlberg doon sa theory niya is puro male. So, parang they did not include the caring perspective doon sa theory ni Lawrence Kohlberg. So, Gilligan argued that males and females are often socialized differently, and females are more apt than males to stress interpersonal relationship and take responsibility for well-being of others. Gilligan suggested this difference is due to the child's relationship with the mother, and that females are traditionally taught a moral perspective that focuses on community and caring about personal relationship. So there are two stages of ethics of care according to Carol Gilligan. First is yung care-based morality. So Gilligan proposed the stages of the ethics of care theory, which addresses what makes actions right or wrong. So Gilligan's theory focused on both care-based morality and justice-based morality. So first class, let's discuss muna the care-based morality. So care-based morality is based on the following principles. So one is emphasizes interconnectedness and universality. So when we say care-based morality class, parang na-emphasize nito is yung universal law na according sa stages of moral development ni Lawrence Kohlberg ay nasa pinakamataas na stage, which is the 6th stage, the universal principles. So, acting justly means avoiding violence and helping those in need. So, yun nga class, ang nabibuild kasi dito sa care-based morality nito is we act because we avoid violence, we avoid punishments. Instead, we are acting or we are following the rules because we need to help other people or we need to impress other people. Next is care-based morality is thought to be more common in girls because of their connections to their mothers. Yes, it is true naman class that care-based morality is prone in girls. Kasi 'di ba, girls are more attached and in their mothers. Although there are some boys na attached in their mothers, that's why they are called mama's boy. Pero lots of researchers kasi ang nagsasabi rin na girls tend to have a more connected with their mothers. Kaya yung care-based morality dito natin class is parang mas nade-develop within the girls. So because girls remain connected to their mothers, they have or they are less inclined to worry about issues of fairness. So dahil ang mga girls class ay interconnected with the mother, nagkakaroon ngayon ng less worry about sa issues of fairness. So kung dapat bang sundin or hindi dapat sundin, nagkakaroon ng fairness doon. Kasi parang mas nagkakaroon ng more care-based morality ang girls kaysa sa boys. Parang they, ang tendency is they follow the rules most frequent kaysa sa boys. So next class is justice-based morality. So this is the second stage of ethics of care according to Carol Gilligan. So justice-based morality is based on the following principles. Number 1, views the world as being composed of autonomous individuals who interact with another. So in justice-based morality class, parang dito, the persons are viewed or being composed on how are they going to interact with other. Parang yung gusto nilang makita or yung gusto nilang makita ng ibang tao sa kanila, yun ang napoportray. And then how they interact with other also affect their personality na rin doon. Kasi 'di ba, dun sa mga previous discussions natin kanina is yung nagkakaroon tayo ng pagsunod sa rules dahil gusto nating makita or masabi ng mga tao na ay masunurin siya. Lagi niyang sinusunod yung mga rules. So parang dito rin siya class, pasok din siya sa justice-based morality. Next is acting justly means avoiding inequality. So, is thought to be more common in boys because of their need to differentiate between themselves and their mothers. So, dito class, sa justice-based morality, it falls on the boys, on the males po. So, parang, this is common because they act to avoid inequality na rin. Parang they follow the rules to avoid inequality. Parang they need to follow the rules kasi they yung attachment nila sa parents is or sa mother specifically is parang less. So parang nagkakaroon sila ngayon ng feeling in their self na hindi fair. Parang ganun. So to avoid inequality na lang para hindi masabing bias sila or whatsoever, they are following the rules. Because they are separated from their mothers, boys become more concerned with the concept of inequality. So, ang tawag na nito? Unlike in the care-based morality, which is na-develop yung fairness na personality ng mga girls, dito naman sa justice-based morality, ang concern dito is the concept of inequality. Yun nga class, because they have less connection with their mother, nagkakaroon sila ngayon ng questions if they are equal in all the things with the girls, kung parehas lang ba sila ng rules na sinusunod, kung ipa-follow ba nila yung rules na sinusunod ng mga babae or hindi, ganun. Parang yun nga class, yung sense ng fairness sa kanila hindi ma-develop. Kasi ang pinakamalaking concern dito is the inequality. So, nagkakaroon sila rin dito class ng parang confused na part if they are going to follow the rules or not. So, returning to our tawag na nito, individuals with a justice-based perspective tend to see any dilemma as a conflict between different claims. So, yun nga kasi sinabi ko sa inyo kanina, this is prone to the boys because kapag nagkaroon sila ng problems, if they encounter dilemma, ang perspective nila doon is between different claims. Parang they see all the views na magkakaroon ng possible effect doon sa problems na meron sila. So, a solution to the dilemma is not a resolution of the conflict. It's a verdict in which one side gets everything and the other side gets nothing. So, parang yun yung concept ng justice-based morality. So, the care-based perspective naman class approaches the problem differently. Rather than seeing all the parties as separate individuals with their own valid or invalid claims, it sees them as already in a difficult situation together. If there is conflict between them, that is a part of the problem. The point is not to decide to conflict one way or other, but to find a way to get around it or remove it. So unlike in justice-based morality naman class, in care-based morality, if they face some problems or dilemmas, they see or they solve the problem as a group. Parang hindi nila tinitingnan kung ano yung magagawa ng other side doon sa ibang side. Kung sino yung makakapag bigay ng possible solution agad. Parang they are not seeing problems as a competition, but they see as a problem. They see a problem to work together to find a solution. Parang ganun yung concept din ni care-based morality. So, okay, class, that's with the Carol Gilligan and the morality of care under the theories of moral development. So, class, that will be the last theory that we are going to discuss for today. Okay, so class, that will be the end of our discussions for today. So thank you for listening. Let me end with this discussion class by these two quotation. So morality is not just any old topic in psychology, but close to our conception of the meaning of life. Moral goodness is what gives each of us the sense that we are worthy human beings. So this is according to Steven Pinker. And then the next, right action tends to be defined in terms of general individual rights and standards that have been critically examined and agreed upon by the whole society, according to Lawrence Kohlberg. So again, class, thank you for listening. Have a great day ahead.